All right, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of EMU Today TV. My name is Mark S. Lee. I'm your host, and we appreciate you joining us each and every single month. And before we get started, I gotta say Happy New Year to all of you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and a wonderful new year. All right, we always have wonderful guests each and every single month, and this is no exception. WEMU Radio. Yes, you've heard of WEMU Radio is celebrating its 60th year. And I am so pleased to have Ms. Molly Motherwell join me. And she's the general manager for WEMU. We're going to talk about this historic radio station that's very well known, is very well respected within the community. Molly, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Just excited to kick this year off.
It's hard to believe it's a new year, and it's also hard to believe that WEMU is turning 60, has turned 60. For those of you tuning in, kind of give them an overview of WEMU, the radio station, its primary mission, and it's also a historical perspective as well.
Well, WEMU signed on December 8th, 1965 as a 10-watt indoor system to listen to EMU sports. And through that time, we progressed through this indoor service into an external service and worked on a license application for about 10 years to become a full FM broadcaster in Washtenaw County. Became that in the early 70s. We joined NPR in 1971. We joined the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and became eligible for federal grants in 1976. And that's really when we became a full-fledged external community service.
You know, and it's obviously how it's on campus. And you said, you started 60 years ago, but it has evolved over the years as well.
Yeah.
And
Yes, very much so.
talk about the evolution of the radio station, please.
Well, it was the early 70s when we had gone through, I guess early 80s, we'd gone through a little bit of turmoil with budget cuts and what the direction of the station was going to be. At one point, we were reduced to an 18-hour broadcast week. We only had 7 employees who were doing everything, including all of the program hosting. And the university was under some financial pressure and gave us a massive budget cut. And our general manager at the time, Art Timko, took it upon himself to figure things out, I guess, and worked with the university to put together a matching gift. We did our very first fundraiser in 1981 with a goal of $35,000. The university matched that, and from that point forward, we were focused on being a real public radio station with a development department and a fundraising goal, and we've been fundraising and getting support from listeners ever since that time.
Yeah, so you've grown since this inception. And then you are now a 50,000 watt radio station. Is that correct?
No, we are not 50,000 watts. By the time all the application processes were straightened out, the only frequency available to us that we could afford was a 16,000 watt signal. That's what we have, but because of our tower height, which is 354 feet, that tower went up in 1991. That gives us the directional power of a 50,000 watt to the northwest and south. So we do have some 50,000 watt capabilities. Before that time, our tower was on Pierce Hall, and that's still our backup tower. Pierce Hall is at the same elevation as Ann Arbor Saline Road on the west side of Ann Arbor. We could not get over that ridge until we put up that new tower and really boosted our reach in Washtenaw County and the surrounding areas.
You know, point of information, when I was a student at EMU, I was also president of the student body back in 1981-82, and WEMU used to cover me. So I would do a lot of interviews on the radio station, kind of
Right.
talk to the student population, the general population, as the representative of the student body. And I used to listen to the radio station all the time when I was living on campus, and I was certainly in Ypsilanti. And let's talk about how that listenership continues to expand, because over the years, it seemed like WEMU really, really started to grow in the jazz space. Is that correct?
Right. Mm-hmm. We began as a student station and really switched over to being more of a community resource in the early 1970s when we picked up All Things Considered from NPR and began developing our professional staff. We've always employed students. We still employ students. But the core staff are radio professionals. At that time, too, our music format bounced all over the place. We had a little bit of
Yes.
everything. We had classical, we had adult oriented rock, we had AAA, we had country, and we had jazz. And again, our Timco decided we needed to settle on one, and that was jazz. There, he saw a real growth in jazz and jazz opportunities in our area, and said, let's become the jazz resource for Southeast Michigan. And we've been proving that ever since. We're a founding partner of the Detroit Jazz Festival, which was founded in 1981. We've been involved with just about every jazz organization in Southeast Michigan, especially in Washtenaw County. That partnership's continued to grow till we are one of the top 5 jazz news public radio stations in the United States in terms of per capita listening.
So we talk about the Detroit Montrose Jazz Festival,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it used to be called. And
Right,
I
that's what it
remember
began as.
that's what it began as. I used to go every year down to Hart Plaza to go
You
listen
still
to the
can.
jazz. Yeah, it's still there. It's still there. But I'm really reminiscing back to once the Detroit Montrose Jazz Festival. I did not know that WEMU played a role in helping to start that legendary
Right.
international festival. Talk about the growth in terms of EMU's role with the Jazz Festival. Are you still involved this day, or is it kind of like gone off to the wayside?
Well, at that time, everybody's budgets were a little bit more robust than they are now. And we produced a national broadcast for NPR for many, many years from that festival. That was up until the early 2000s that we got the grant to do that. We also recorded and archived all those performances, and those have recently been digitized by the EMU Archives Department, the EMU Library, and we're looking for uses for those recordings. But we were, along with WBEZ in Chicago, produced the Chicago Blues Festival at the same time. So we were kind of in competition with stations to see who was going to pick up the Jazz Festival, who was going to pick up the Blues Festival. But that's something that we initiated and began when the festival began. And then, of course, priorities shifted, funding shifted, and it just wasn't possible to produce those broadcasts anymore without major, major gift support. So they kind of went by the wayside, but we have continued to be involved with the festival. Our hosts are on stage, and we, in 2010, we began a shuttle bus program from Ypsilanti in Ann Arbor, where we run shuttle buses out to the festival from here every Labor Day weekend. And that's really taken off. There were a lot of people who had never gone to that festival before because they're not familiar with Detroit. So we offered this service, and it's also been incorporated into the green footprint of the festival. So it's something we've really expanded over the last few years.
And so as we talk about 60 years, talk about the relevancy. How has the station remained relevant over that 60-year period? And in addition to being relevant, how has it remained, has it been sustainable for that 60-year window? That's a remarkable length of time.
Well, it's amazing to me when I was going over material for our 60th anniversary. The very first fundraiser we ever produced, as I said, brought in $35,000. Our fundraising efforts in this last year brought in $828,000.
Yeah.
So it's really evolved over time. And we're just positioned in a really great area to take advantage of our community resources. Washtenaw County does not like to be considered part of Metro Detroit. As you know, we are an independent entity, but there's no local TV here. There's no local newspaper here. And even though there are many other public stations that reach our market, none of them can super serve, be hyper local to this area. So in terms of producing local news for a very informed and engaged community, WEMU is it. We do not have to be concerned with the rest of the state. We're not a regional service. We're a local service. And then, of course, our hugely vibrant cultural community. I always tell people it's not by accident that the Blue Llama Jazz Club opened in downtown Ann Arbor. They know the vibrant music scene we have here here, and the vibrant jazz scene we have here. And WEMU has really been able to capitalize on that partnership since they've been here in the 6 years that they've been here. So by becoming this hyper-local, community-focused organization, we have a big pool of loyal listeners who step up every time we have a fundraiser. We've had to shift from when I started here in 1991, 75% of our budget came from EMU. Now in 2025, 25% of our budget comes from EMU. So we've made that complete shift and put that burden onto the users of the service. And if you want this service, please invest in it. And they've responded magnificently.
Yeah, so as we begin to wrap up, and it's obviously the local source of information for people in the Ypsilanti area and in Washtenaw County. As we wrap up in the last couple of minutes or so, talk about the 60th anniversary. There's a major move that's taking place on campus for basically a new facility.
Yes, we have been located in King Hall here on the EMU campus since 1977. As those of you who are very familiar with campus know, that's a converted women's dormitory. It just cannot keep up with the technical needs we have as a 21st century broadcaster with a lot of digital broadcasting and streaming and other needs. So thanks to a very supportive administration and a lot of pieces that all came together, WEMU is included in the capital outlay plan for this next year, and we will be moving into Halley Library on the garden level into a brand new facility with all the bells and whistles for 21st century broadcasting. And we hope to dedicate that on our actual anniversary of December 8th.
Well, Molly Motherwell, I want to thank you very much, General Manager GM for WEMU, obviously the NPR radio station housed on campus. Continued success. We appreciate it. We wish you much success looking ahead as well. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And as we just recently had a December graduation for our fall graduates, we have a brief video celebrating them.
Graduates, today's ceremony is more than just a celebration. It's a time where you're being honored for a major accomplishment.
I've transferred back and forth to a couple different schools, and Eastern by far has been my favorite. All the classes that I was in at Eastern, there was probably a max of like 20 students, so you could really get personal with your professors, ask them questions, really get to know each other. You feel like more of a human being versus just a number, where I felt like just a number at some of the other universities.
I urge you to remain in a constant state of learning. As you grow, personally, professionally, and spiritually, commit yourself to learning and passing on lessons to others. Regardless of your starting point, what matters most are the steps that you are taking along the way. You'll come to learn that your actions will define your character. Continue learning, and it will enable you to see the world different and shape your character in a way that truly inspires others.
So my time in Eastern Michigan was filled with a bunch of blessings and great opportunities. And being a student athlete, I gained a lot of lifelong friendships that last me a lifetime.
Graduates, it is time for you to turn your tassels from the right side of your cap to the left side of the cap, symbolizing your graduation. Congratulations, graduates. You are now a lifetime member of the Eastern Michigan University Alumni Association. You will always and forever be an important member of our EMU alumni family, now 175 years strong.
Go Eagles till the day I die.
Eagles don't fly with pigeons.
Yes, sir.
Eagles.
You can't shoot us down.
Eagles don't fly with
we
pigeons.
oversee everything.
Thank you for tuning into this month's edition of EMU Today TV. I want you to go out and make it a great day, make it a great week, and we will check you out next time with more guests for EMU Today TV. Talk to you soon.